Now, Exxaro's share price was up almost 4% today after it said it aims to double coal exports through the Richards Bay export terminal by 2023, while Kumba and Assore gained a competitive advantage over their international rivals dependent on the Vale mine. Now, this follows the dam disaster at a mine owned by the Brazilian company last Friday. Now, to dig deeper into the mining sector, I'm joined now by Peter Major, Director of Mining at Mergence Corporate Solutions. Peter, thanks for the time. I think I just wanted to begin, first of all, by trying to understand the surge in prices that we saw yesterday. Can we assign it exclusively to that mine disaster that we saw in Brazil? In other words, this guy is taking advantage of that disaster and perhaps shipping a little more to China and other parts of the world.
Yes, Godfrey, I think that's almost entirely it. Probably 80–90% of it is speculation, because Vale's immediately said we're going to stop 10% of our production, which is 40 million tons, which is about 2.5% of world exports. So you say, gee, does 2.5% make that big a difference? Probably not really, but we know how traders are. Any reason to take a share up or take a share down, they're quick to jump onto it.
Sure. How long do you think Vale is going to be down?
You know, I'm guessing at least a couple months. So they've said there's 10 dams that they're wary of. There's 10 dams they want to recheck. And those dams are related to production of 40 million tons. So how quick can they check the dams? You know, they're going to have to get technicians out there, and I'll bet they're going to be checking them simultaneously. I don't think they're going to do them one at a time. I think they're going to get big teams and check all 10 quick. Yeah. So they could maybe they check 10 and they find 4 or 5 are fine, and they let those 4 or 5 start, and then the other 4 or 5, they say we need more work. So I'm guessing that 40 million tons is not going to be off the market more than 6 months. Maybe half of it will be off.
Sure. So last night we saw the Fed chairman coming in and saying he was not going to raise interest rates as fast as perhaps he had anticipated before. And as a result of that, we have seen commodity prices higher today. I mean, when you look at all the major commodities that we watch, they are stronger as a result of dollar weakness. Does this fundamentally change the picture and outlook for our commodities going forward?
It does. I don't think largely. I think a lot of it psychologically. He says he's going to hold off on interest rates. So is that going to automatically increase demand? Are people going to automatically go out and buy more cars and build more skyscrapers and bridges because the Federal Reserve said they're going to hold off interest rates for a month or two longer than they may have previously? But it does give people more optimism, and we see people with money, they don't need much of an excuse to spend it. They also don't need much of an excuse to hold on to it really tight. So it was anticipated, I thought, and it is good news, but is it going to fundamentally change supply demand like you brought out, Godfrey? I don't think so. You know, I think it's a minor little speed bump or minor little push tailwind. But hey, the world is big. It's got a lot of momentum. This delay in interest rate isn't going to change very much. Only perceptions, I think.
Sure. Peter, did you forecast that gold is going to reach $1,320 an ounce today?
No, I'm afraid I didn't. I think I forecast it's going to be $1,250 for the next year. So I'm really surprised. I'm very pleasantly surprised. And sometimes I hope I'm wrong. Not often, but this is one of the times I hope I'm wrong.
Absolutely.
I can't see it staying over 1,300.
You can't see, but that was going to be my next question. Because of the surprise factor, is it, do you think, able to maintain this strength, and could we see higher prices going forward? By the way, South Africa needs that higher gold price. Never mind, we can't get the stuff out of the ground anyway, because the workers are out on the streets.
You're right. But the few workers who are still digging gold, at least they'll get $50, $60 more an ounce for it. But you're so right, Godfrey. We've still got half the world's gold, but it's under the surface, and we got nobody going down there to dig it out. Used to have 550,000 people digging it out. Now we got less than 100. But we'll take what we can get. The fact that gold is over 1,300 gives lots of support to the other commodities.
Where would you put your money, Peter, if you looked at the commodity space? And I'm trying to understand here in terms of companies that are operating within the sector. We have seen a rallying in prices for palladium, and we've also seen a rallying in price for gold, as we've been discussing. Well, platinum is also rising with the other prices, but certainly not at the pace of the others. Who would you look at?
You know, I'm a commodity man from 50 years ago, but I've been saying all this year, we're looking at pretty good commodity prices across the board. You know, gold at $1,250 was good. The world kept increasing production year after year when gold was $1,200, $1,250. So it's trading almost double its long-term average. And yes, platinum, it's a little below its long-term average, but the metals that come with it, rhodium, palladium, ruthenium, they're all way above their averages. So, and even coal's trading 50% higher than its average. So I don't see these commodity prices going up for the rest of the year. If they just stay here, I will be pleasantly surprised. Now, market is pretty efficient. The market is discounting this. Hey, if you're going to go into commodities, mining houses have always been the proper place because they got a good spread in geography and commodity.
Yeah. You and I have had this conversation about the sunset industry, that is the gold industry, for quite a while now. Are we in that space where we could perhaps call that time now and begin to say perhaps in 5 years there will be no gold that will be coming out of South Africa? Do you think we could get to that point?
Yes, and we're almost at that point now. And I'd like to point out, we hear this about Sasol too. We hear Sasol's a sunset industry. It's polluting like no other company on the planet except other hydrocarbon producers. But gold does not need to be a sunset industry. The rest of the world keeps increasing its gold production every year for 20 years now. So why are we decreasing when the rest of the world is increasing?